Hi, Shoreline, back with you again. Friday afternoon, 12 o'clock, and just wanted to think with you again through Psalm 25 and Tripp's book, A Shelter in Time of the Storm. I've been walking through this Psalm 27 memorization process. It's been a little bit of a challenge getting back into it. In fact, every time I go out to walk our dog, I try and say it a little bit more out loud. I probably look like a crazy man speaking out loud the scriptures to myself, but I find it's one way for me to do it. The other way it's been working for me is just trying to write it down a lot and say it out loud as I write it down. So whatever method you use, this is probably the best time we're ever going to have really to slow down and trying this out together. So here we go. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Of whom shall I be afraid? There we go. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? I want to get that right. When evildoers assail me to eat up my flesh, my adversaries and foes, it is they who stumble and fall. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war rise against me, yet I will be confident. One thing I have asked the Lord, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. Now, verse 5, for he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. For he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. So that's the next part I'm working on for this weekend. And there's no, I think, more appropriate verse than verse 5 for what we got this past week, the shelter in place order. There's no better time to think about the shelter of God's protection as we think about going through this period together. If you think about, the real shelter, the reality that we have is that when we run to God, we find a sure and safe refuge that no matter time nor disease, nor any kind of other difficulty can tear down that shelter. And so he's the one that we run to. And I thought in Tripp's book on page 75 and 76, there was a great little section on this verse. And I just want to read a quote from Tripp on this verse because I just think it's really helpful as he really brings the whole thing back into a good perspective. He writes, I am safe, not because I never face danger, but because you are with me in it. You've not given me a ticket out of danger. You've not promised me a life of ease. You have chosen to place me in a fallen world. I am safe because you've given me one thing that is the only thing that will ever keep me safe. You've given me you. And just a great thing to be mindful of as we go through today, that we have no tickets out of the difficulty of this world. And the shelter that he's going to hide us in doesn't save us from danger. But what we can be reassured of is that we have the most important person in our life, and that's God himself as we go through this time. So let's just think through Psalm 27:5 together as we go. Again, Sunday morning, 11 o'clock on our YouTube channel. We'll be thinking through John 11, 1-44, the story of the death and rising of Lazarus, and just as its impact on the way we look at illness, sickness, and death in terms of how we look at God and ourselves. So just be paying attention to that this weekend as we go into Sunday. We have some other things that we want to keep you updated on as we think about Sunday morning at 11. So stay tuned. Glad to be with you again, Shoreline, and we'll see you soon. Love you guys.